This is the limitless Keith Lee.
This is Brody King.
This is Angel Garza.
Will Ospreay.
Hornswoggle.
Pentagon Junior.
The villain, Marty Scurll.
The Mexican Rey Fenix.
King Ricochet.
Concrete Rose Sunny Kiss.
And I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the busted wide open.
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 Boston wide open.
Busted wide open podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome everybody to BWO Live, coming to you from Twitch. This is the recap show for WWE Fastlane. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and yes, we just got done with the final pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania, Nick. WrestleMania is only 2 weeks away now. Only 2 weeks away, and this was the final big show. 3? Oh, God, thank God.
Yeah, we got 1 extra week.
Okay, all right. Whew. I don't know why. In my schedule, I had it 2 weeks ahead. Okay, we got 3 weeks, but still,
more than 2 weeks without a pay-per-view.
It's not a lot of time.
No.
It's not a lot of time till WrestleMania, and this was the last big show before WrestleMania, and they had to get some things set up for that big show. Did they accomplish that with some major matches on this show, Nick? We got to talk about that all tonight. I have to say, man, it finished very exciting, and I'm pretty hyped up right now, man. I'm pretty hyped up, but I'm ready to get into the show. But I know we got to do a little business first. So why don't you take care of the business, Nick, and we'll get into discussing Fastlane after that.
Yes, guys, you know where to find us at this point, but if you don't, linktree.com/BWO has all the links to all the things where you can find all of our social media, our groups, our Discord, all of that stuff. Big shout out to everybody that joined us in Discord for the live chat, watch party throughout the show tonight. Hat tip to you guys. Big shout out to everybody showing up on Twitch. What's up, chat? Nice to see you guys. Happy to have you guys all here with us. But yes, linktree.com/BWO. Make sure you get signed up. Like, follow, share, subscribe, do all the things that you guys know how to do at this point. And big special shout out to our patrons. If you guys would like to get in on some of those exclusives, head over to patreon.com/BWO. Get signed up. We've got several new patrons this month alone. And you want to make sure you're in there because you get to participate in the BWO Patron Pick'ems Championship for what do they call it? The Night of the Immortals, whatever. I can't remember what they call the thing anymore.
the Knights of the Immortals.
2 Nights of the Immortals.
Yeah.
Where you get the event, the BWO Patrons Pick'ems Championship. The showcase of the Immortals. Thank you.
Yeah, showcases of the Immortal.
So you don't want to miss out on that one, and all it costs you is $5 a month. Plus, on top of that, you'll get to send in your questions every single week for the patron mailbag that we'll answer live right here on the air. You get the ability to listen to the audio-only versions and add them to the podcast app of your choice if you'd like to. And you get copies of the show notes, bonus episodes up at the $10 tier. And hey, guys, Patreon, along with the bits and subs here on Twitch, are the best ways to support myself and Sir Ian Dangerous right here. You boys on Busted Wide Open. But Ian, let's get into it because I am loaded with opinions right now, and before they fizzle out, I want to make sure that I get them out. So let's go talk about what went down on WWE Fastlane.
Well, I'm sure we're going to start this off with something you've got lots of opinions about. On the pre-show, the U.S. title was defended Matt Riddle versus Mustafa Ali. My goodness. I got to say, when I first saw Riddle coming out, I went, what? On the pre-show with this? Interesting. Nick, before we even talk about the match, what did you think about the U.S. title being defended on the pre-show here?
That was my you had your reaction when Riddle coming out? That was mine.
Oh, man.
That was like, oh, no. Oh, this is worse than I thought.
Yeah, I think the initial impression we had was, okay, we're not really going to switch the title on the pre-show. It's obviously not important to have a title switch. Very rarely do they actually switch titles on the pre-show.
Sure, but we had no idea that they would do something like put this match on the pre-show.
I mean, looking at the rest of the show, I guess you could have put Rollins and Nakamura on the pre-show.
I mean, I don't know. How about Shane and Braun sliming each other?
That's the one I wish was on the pre-show, but I think they saw that as an intermission match. So, and that's exactly what they used it as. So, I mean, this actually showcased this match a little bit, and it gave these guys 10 minutes to work with. And frankly, they put on a pretty damn good match. Both excellent wrestlers, and they ended up actually creating a nice little match here. I have to say, although ultimately a avalanche, what does he call it? Bro Derek,
yeah.
An avalanche Bro Derek from the top. Matt Riddle comes down on top of Ali. 1, 2, 3, and Matt Riddle retains, Riddle retains the U.S. Championship once again. Afterwards, after the match, Ali starts screaming at Retribution again, saying it's all their fault, even though they didn't do a damn thing. And if you hadn't gotten the hint from the fact that they all started unfollowing each other on Twitter, the reports that were coming out from Fightful and all over the place that they were probably going to break up Retribution. The fact that Dijak's growing his hair. Sure enough, first Mia Yim, Reckoning, walked out of the ring on Ali, and he said, "Get back in line." And she didn't do it. She just walked away. Slapjack also shook him off and walked away. And then Ali ate the finisher, the tag team finisher from Dijak and Mace, and they both walked out, leaving him laying in the ring. So it appears that Retribution has broken up, and Ali can now go rehab his leg, which is legit bust. He's been working with a tear, I believe. So he can go actually rehab that, and other things can happen. Now the question is Ali doomed when he comes back? Will they repackage him? And what happens to the rest of Retribution? Do they repackage them, and in what way? What do you see coming out of this, Nick?
I think it was you that said it in the Discord chat. T-Bar and Mace as a new tag team. That's compelling. I did. It is very compelling because I saw them do that tag team move on Ali, and they were there together at the end, and I had visions of Vince looking at them and going, "Bludgeon Brothers Part 2?" Yep.
And while I hope that we don't have a gimmick as goofy as the Bludgeon Brothers, the idea of Mace and Dijak being a tag team is not bad. Take them out of the dumb masks, but keep them just as vicious. The tag team division needs a monster team like that, frankly. WWE does like its monster tag teams. Ain't much else going on Raw in the tag team division. Why not? Give New Day something to do, after, or even give New Day something to do after WrestleMania if they beat AJ and Omos, or if they don't, then have AJ and Omos hold the titles, and have New Day go feud with these guys. So yeah, I think could be a great thing and keep these guys interesting.
Man, I went into this really with a glass half full, very optimistic kind of approach. I had never in a million years would have guessed that this would have been on the pre-show. Had I known, there's no way I would have picked Ali to win this, but I was hopeful and optimistic that we had one last shot with Ali to be able to save whatever they've been doing with it. And you know what? They could have flipped the title and made that the thing that they give up on because, you've sold out now for a title. And then they could have all turned on him that way. And I think that would have maybe been more compelling.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think Retribution is going to go down as just one of the many attempts that WWE made to do something and then just cut off their own ideas at the hamstrings. It's going to be relegated to the dustbin of history. It's one of those things that when it first started happening and people were invading the ring, we said, this is not going to end well. And here we are 9 months later, and it has not ended well. Goodbye, Retribution. We barely knew ye, and we never really liked ye that much. We had hopes for you, but yeah, it just was never going to happen. And it's high time you got taken out back behind the shed and had a bullet put between your eyes. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Before we get into the main show, though, I do want to do a couple of call-outs. Sammy Figs, resubscribe. Is that Sammy Figueroa? Is Sammy Figueroa in the chat? What's up, Sammy?
That's Sammy Guevara, I think you're thinking of.
Oh, who is Sammy Figs? I wish I knew who that was. Thank you very much for the sub.
One of our
resubscribe with a tier 1 for 5 months. 1 month away from your old bucket of chicken, sir.
Ooh.
Also, Kyle Cotton threw in 100 bits, said proof that women are the smarter sex. Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez see the writing on the wall before any of the guys and act accordingly.
Yeah. They still, well, Mia Yim still came out in that mask, so not that much smarter. But
She went to adjust it while she was walking up the ramp, and I'm like, oh, is she going to unmask?
oh, take it off, take it off, take it off.
Yep.
Please. She's a beautiful woman. Get that mask off her.
Yes.
It's just, come on,
It's ridiculous.
please.
She does not need
Take
a
the
Hannibal
masks.
Lecter mouth guard on.
Get the masks off of all of them.
Yep.
Please, as soon as possible. Let it go. Let it die. Let us never speak of it again. And let Ali move on to something better as well when he comes back.
Yep.
Fare thee well, Retribution.
Thank
But
you,
on to the
Kyle.
main show. And we started off with another questionable feud. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair teaming up against Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And I definitely question putting this match first. I also question this entire feud because, frankly, Nick, at this point, no one's coming out of this looking good. Nia and Shayna don't look like they can beat Bianca and Sasha unless Bianca and Sasha are not on the same page, because they dominated most of the match, and it was only the fact that Reginald got up on the ring at one point, and there were some distractions. It was the only reason that Shayna and Nia won. And conversely, it makes Bianca and Sasha look like idiots, like bickering little children. Neither of them look good. Sasha gets pinned after being distracted by Bianca Belair and arguing about it. So your champ just got pinned again. The challenger looks like she's petty and can't, just kind of let things roll off her back and actually win a match. So this has just been, I'm not going to say a debacle, but it's not been good for anybody involved. I'm glad it's over.
I have the worst kind of I usually have I love this or I hate this. The worst of all of that is I just don't care.
Yeah.
There is nothing to invest in here. I simply just don't care.
Then let me say this. Do you invest in the fact that you like Shayna, Sasha, well, and Shayna too, Sasha, Shayna, and Bianca as wrestlers? I won't even ask you about the fourth woman in there, but you're invested in them as wrestlers.
Yes.
Is that like
Bianca and Shayna definitely. Sasha, I'm 50-50 on at this point.
Okay. But you want to see them do well. You want to see them. That's where I'm coming from.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at this. That's how I'm invested. I'm invested in this. Like with much of WWE, when things don't go well or when things don't go the way I think they should go. #MaWrestling. I look at it and say I'm invested because I want this talent to do well. I believe they deserve better.
There's very few people on the entire roster that I don't feel that way about. I want them to do well, right?
Right. And so when I see something like this where it benefits no one's coming out looking better because of it. The only person that's really benefiting is Reginald because he's getting TV time.
And Nia Jax, for that matter.
And Nia Jax is looking
Nia would
like
never have this much time on her own.
The beast of well, she's looking like the beast of her team as well. Shayna's the one who looks like the vulnerable member of the tag team. But even then, Nia still had the my whole stuff going on. Like, so it's not. I mean, yes, she was trending. Congratulations. That's what you have to do to trend. This is not something that's good for any of these people. Bianca versus Sasha should be a main event of one of the nights. And this is not a main event build.
And I don't think it will be.
They've got 3 weeks, as we said at the top of the show.
Yeah.
They had they're not getting along. Can they work together? Okay, no, we've done it. They can't work together. We've got, this is what they do when they have the challenger and the champ tag team up. Okay, they can't work together. Taylor's old as time. It's finally happened. It's done. They can't work together. Sasha delivered a big slap to Bianca at the end of this match, and Bianca said, okay, I got you at WrestleMania. Cool. Turn on the jets. Get this hot. Put it in the oven. It's not there right now. It's lukewarm at best. Make them look good. Make Sasha look like a fierce fighting champ who can kick people's ass. Make Bianca look like a really vicious up-and-comer with some serious steam behind her. This is not it. This is terrible. Have Shayna and Nia go feud with Natty and Tamina. Whatever. Don't care. Have them out of the title picture.
I feel like they're doing more to promote the impending arrival of Rhea Ripley than they are to build anything around Bianca Belair.
And you know what? Good. I'm glad. They need to get Rhea off to a good start as well. Bianca, I think, will be fine. This is not good for her, but she'll be fine. They need to have Rhea come in really hot because right now, on the SmackDown side of things, they're kind of bungling their main event feud for WrestleMania. So,
how much of that do we put on Sasha Banks? Being a good enough champ with enough presence to be able to draw that kind of attention.
I put very little of that on Sasha because it's what they're giving her to work with. Her character could be a great, cocky, dominant heel champ, but that's not what she's being given. She's being given this bratty, petulant,
mean girl kind of shit.
Mean girl spotlight hog thing, and it's just not quite clicked into gear. This could really, again, they could really easily downshift and get this thing revved up again. But they've got 3 weeks to do it in. They could do it. It's possible. I'm not saying this is DOA. But I'm glad this match is over. I'm glad we're past this. Let's move on.
Kyle threw in 100 bits, said, can they coexist? I guess the thing they kept saying all night. This time in freaking stereo, just kill me with this. Yeah, this isn't the way to get it done.
Yep.
I don't know what else we need to say about that.
It's an old wrestling trope, but they've been running it for too long.
They're doing it. They did it in NXT last week too, in a pinch.
Are they friends or are they not friends? They've been doing it for a month now with Sasha and Bianca, and it's been muddled the entire time. It's been overwrought. It's been unfocused, and as a result, the feud feels unfocused. Focus on it. Dial that stuff in. Make it crystal clear because it's WrestleMania season. Damn it.
Yep.
Let's
go.
Another match that's actually the feud is
really
hang on
before you jump.
clear.
Before you jump,
Then I'll wait.
I want to finish catching up. Trans Zombie resubscribed for 6 months with the tier 1 sub, and you know what that means.
And good
chicken.
Yes.
Congratulations on the bucket of chicken, Trans Zombie. Welcome back. Thank you very much for the sub. Really appreciate it. Also threw in 100 bits that just got off work listening to the recap before watching the pay-per-view. Smart man.
All right.
Smart.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the 100 bits and the sub, Trans. Oh, he threw in another 200 bits.
Oh!
Watch the pre-show and have to say, I'm curious where the ex-members of Retribution go from here. Notice Dijak is growing his hair out.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's I really hope that they land somewhere strong. Because they're also talented.
Dijak especially. Dio came in and he had a shot, and then he tried commentary, and then he was like, nah. Or they said that to him. So now he's coming back as this character with a mask on and dreadlocks, and we're just like, okay. I'm looking at Dijak and I'm looking at Mia Yim, two extremely seasoned, professional performers, and I'm just going, what are they doing with this talent?
Well, Shane Thorne too.
Sure.
All of them in Retribution, and I like Dio with the braids, man. It's a cool look. It looks good for him, and him contrasting with Dijak is a good look for a tag team. These two big guys. So, fingers crossed for that. But speaking of, we were talking about focused feuds that are going on right now. Apollo Crews and Big E have a great feud going on. There's no one's going to argue that.
Sure,
their feud is great. Whatever your opinion of Apollo's new gimmick. He's being very strong with it. His strong character work is contrasting great with Big E. It's good stuff. So we finally have this match where this bit of a grudge match happens, and I'll be damned, Nick, if they don't come out of the gate red hot on this. Big E doing a huge spear through the ring ropes and knocking Apollo to the floor on the outside, and then giving him two big slams outside on the ring apron, big old belly flops. And he's screaming in pain, and it was great. It was hot to come out at the start of this match. Then they get into big power moves inside the ring. It starts going back and forth. Then they start doing a grappling trading sequence, and all of a sudden there's just tons of Lady Jess, ring ref, slapping the mat, and all of a sudden it's the end of the match. And I'm not sure if it was a botched finish. I'm not sure if something weird happened there. It happened really quickly.
Yep.
And Big E was the winner, and Apollo immediately started grabbing him and angle slamming him or Olympic slamming him all over the ring and standing on his face and saying, "Is this your Intercontinental Champion? This isn't over," and walking away. Do you think that finish was a botch, or from what you saw, was it just that it was a bit sloppy? What do you think happened at the end of this match?
It looked like Apollo fell out of the cradle. It fell out of the roll up.
Mm-hmm.
And because you ended up with both of them with their shoulders on the mats in opposite directions, and one of their legs flopped in the opposite. So it looked like they fell apart. The cradle fell apart. Was it a botch? I don't know. Should they have just both kind of wriggled out of it and redid it, run it back a little bit? Probably. I'm not really sure what Jess was doing with the count. That was weird.
Yeah, it was like a 5 count.
Well, she did a 1-2 and then she started over and did a 1-2-3 is what I got.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if her cadence may have screwed Biggie and Apollo up or something.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't know where they were in a count.
Biggie retained as to what should have happened. Actually, they could spin this into something to have an even bigger stakes match at WrestleMania, and I ain't mad at it.
Frankly, you know, if we get a last man standing match at WrestleMania, I'm not even a last man standing match kind of guy, and that sounds great for this feud, or no holds barred or something like that. And frankly, Apollo immediately jumping on Big E, if it was a botch or if it wasn't, him immediately jumping on Big E and beating him down and standing tall and looking like a mean son of a bitch was the right way to end this match. So ultimately, even though it was a bit of a fudgy finish, everything, it started off really good, the middle was good, the ending was weird, and then the very end was great.
Yeah.
So can't really complain that much about it. It's unfortunate that there was that weird ending, whatever the reason was for it, but ultimately it made them look like they're going to be a really hot match at WrestleMania. They've got great chemistry. Both guys look fantastic. Both these guys can go. I love when they get unleashed on each other. It's going to make both of them look even better in the long run. Big E's going to look like a strong champion. Apollo's going to look like a threat. It's great stuff. We both didn't think that Big E was going to drop the belt here.
I did get a little worried that Big E was getting all that hot offense in right at the start of the match. And I went, uh-oh. Are they going to do something crazy? Are they going to have a title change tonight?
I don't mind that because I'd like to see the formula broken sometimes. I don't need to see the face be in peril the entire match and then have a big comeback. Like, change up the formula, and that's what this was. So I do like the formula shift.
Yep. Trans Zombie threw in another 300 bits and said Big E versus Apollo, last man standing at WrestleMania. There you go. That's got to be it. We've got to have that. That's got to be one of the marquee matches at this point.
Sure.
Based on all of the stuff that we've seen across Raw and SmackDown on a 2-night event, that's one of the big ones that you got to promote. I agree.
Yeah, give him some sort of big stipulation. Last man standing sounds pretty good.
Yep. Kyle threw in 100 bits and said, give him the steel. Big E versus Apollo in a steel cage at WrestleMania.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
I'm
not mad at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could have a tribal warfare match.
How long before we actually get Matt Riddle in a Riddle of Steel match? I'm just, as a Conan fan, I'm curious about that.
I'm just worried Vince is going to hear Riddle and see the Riddler and put him in a green leprechaun costume and have him come out laughing.
Steel is weak, boy. Flesh is stronger. Power and strength of flesh. Want it? Give it to me.
Yes.
Put it in my hole.
Thank you, Trans Zombie. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you very much. So then we had I thought this was a straight up commercial for a second there for Old Spice. We had a Old Spice rack set up backstage, and a guy who I did not recognize for half this commercial, glasses, a little red sweater, talking about Old Spice, and R-Truth hiding in the display. And Akira Tozawa comes in and starts screaming about, where's R-Truth? And that's when I realized, wait, this is actually a WWE skit.
Well, it was Drew Gulak at first. Did you forget about that?
Well, yeah. No. I was, again, I thought it was a commercial, so I wasn't even paying that close of attention at first.
I'm Drew Gulak, and I like to use Old Spice. Night Panther, yeah.
Night Panther. But then I realized that the guy who's playing Joe Normal, or Joe Average, I guess, Rick Boogs. Bogenhagen from NXT. Yeah, the guy who does the Tanahashi air guitar thing.
Yeah.
It was him.
Bogenhagen.
What? What the heck? And then ultimately the display gets knocked down. R-Truth gets exposed. And in trying to pick up all of his beautiful Old Spice, Boogs wins the 24/7 championship. And then immediately loses it right back to R-Truth, who runs off with the belt. And Akira Tozawa is beside himself and tears open Boogs' shirt to reveal the Night Panther underneath. And Tozawa can't handle it. And that's the end of the commercial. Night Panther. It's a very, very odd commercial. Also strangely funny. But what is going on with how did
what a
Bogenhagen
missed opportunity
get this
to make a stick of Old Spice the 24/7 champion. You could have. I mean, the display falls down. R-Truth has a piece of or a stick of Old Spice deodorant that falls on his chest.
The ninja ref counts it.
Yes.
I'm
Panther,
down with that.
Old Spice is your new
Night Panther
24/7 champion.
No. It was right there.
Get
They had it.
nuts.
They had it right in front of
If you're going to be crazy
had it
with
right in front
this,
of them.
take it to 11. I feel like we've been
what's-
saying this for 2 years now.
Bugenhagen won his first championship. Can we talk about this?
Oh, man.
He can't even get on NXT TV, and he's a 24/7 champ now.
For 2 minutes.
What's going on?
I don't know.
I could see him getting on the main roster with some comedy gimmick. I mean,
He's huge.
he is a big boy.
That is a big man.
He's a swollen man. When he takes that shirt off and Vince sees his physique, he's going to get a lot more TV time.
Yeah.
So, speaking of big physiques, Braun Strowman was supposed to have a match with Shane McMahon. We made our picks based on that. But Shane apparently tweaked his poor little knee doing Muay Thai training earlier in the day. Strangely enough, they did not play this as though he was being a heel and didn't actually have an injury. No. They played it as though he actually injured himself, was in the trainer's room, got iced up, and was told he can't have a match tonight. And as he's walking down or limping down the hall afterwards, Elias and Jackson Riker come up to him and say, "Hey, Shane, can we talk to you about possibly being at WrestleMania?" And Shane says, "Not right now." And he keeps getting bugged by Elias until Elias finally gets Shane to say, "Fine, I got an idea for you." And we have an Elias bit later on in the evening. Elias out in the ring, Shane next to him. Elias starts strumming his song, and Shane says, "Oh, by the way, Elias, I forgot to tell you, you're taking my place tonight in the match against Braun Strowman." Oops. And out comes Strowman to whoop up Elias from pillar to post. Even with a bit of Jackson Riker interference, it does not matter. Elias gets murdered. Braun Strowman stands tall. And the Shane McMahon feud continues, Nick. What do you think is the logic behind having Shane be a complete asshole to his employees, but yet not so much of an asshole that he can have a heel injury and fake getting out of this match? He's trying to keep himself like a legitimate, it's like he's keeping himself legitimate. Like, no, it was a real injury. Like, really, I was going to face Braun Strowman for real, but I just couldn't. As opposed to faking an injury, which would be way more heelish and actually make him a heel. Why do you think they're not going full heel with Shane here? What's going on? What's the logic here?
I have no idea. I don't want this. And again,
Does
going back to the lady stuff at the top of the show, pulling the curtain. I don't care. I'm not invested. There's nothing to invest in here. They've pulled it out of their ass. They're trying to make something out of something that doesn't exist just to have it, just to have Shane jump off of something at WrestleMania. Now he's going to do it injured. Ooh.
Maybe. I mean, maybe he'll be better in 3 weeks. We don't know. And maybe he's legit injured. I haven't read anything about it either way. And the weird thing is, Nick, this, unlike Sasha and Bianca versus Nia and Shayna, I don't want that feud. I want to see Sasha and Bianca have a feud.
Agreed.
Get the tag team titles out of there, right? That I don't want to see. I want everyone to have good stories, good storylines. Here, Shane versus Braun is an intriguing idea, but this storyline is the worst storyline in professional wrestling right now. I'm going to continue calling it that because it is. It's the worst angle in professional wrestling. And it largely because it's just so inconsequential on the one hand and so incomprehensible on the other hand. Why is Shane acting like this? Why is he doing these things? But then why is he also not being a true heel? What is Braun's position? Is he just a big dumb dope, or is he actually somewhat intelligent? Why is he not countering? Nothing makes sense. There's all these elements of this feud that are just sticking out like icebergs in the Pacific. Like, what are they doing there? We don't know.
This is the guy that carried the Universal Championship and had a big feud with the Fiend last year throughout the pandemic, throughout the summer. And you're doing this feels like something you do with a Lars Sullivan. This feels, I don't know how Braun got suckered into doing this. We know he's such a company man. He's all in on WWE and will probably do anything the McMahons want him to do.
Yep.
And this is below him at this point. Him first debuting as the black sheep in the Wyatt family, sure, you can throw him into something like this. But now this just feels like it's below him. And I can't find energy to invest in it. I don't dislike Shane being in feuds. I'm not the biggest fan of them. The thing he did with The Miz, I was very vocal about, but that ended up being at least somewhat watchable, right? Yeah. And the match was fantastic, the blow-off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on. I don't really have anything. There's no angle here for me to invest in. There's no retribution to get back at. There's nothing to. I want to care, but I can't. I can't find the energy or the desire to drive. And I'm a huge Braun fan, and that's why I feel so strongly about this.
This is the problem, is that I disagree. I don't think that when he was Black Sheep Braun in the Wyatt family originally, you could do this to him, because he was a godlike, unstoppable monster that you didn't expose that much. Whereas now the guy can go out and work a full wrestling match, but he's also just not as big of a deal and not as interesting on the card. He originally he was like a Kane or a test at the test's height. And now he feels more like a Lord Tensai, where he's just he's a big man. Okay, he's there, and he should be like an Umaga, where he's always built. He still goes out and he's built as a fearful guy. You don't want to have a match with Braun Strowman, but at the same time, he's not really doing anything terribly interesting. So, yeah, it's unfortunate how they're utilizing him right now, and they're actually killing their own golden goose by booking it this way.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate.
Whatever you thought about his title reign last summer, Kyle, I saw you threw that in the chat. It's irrelevant. He was your champion for many months on end and had a signature match with the Fiend in the Swamp match that really kicked off the Alexa Bliss thing that we have going on to this day. So regardless of what we thought about his title run, we could certainly pick that apart, and we did. I'm pretty sure we were critical of it. The fact that he is a former long-holding champion. I feel like this is below him. Kyle 300 bits as well said Shane shown pretending to train in Muay Thai is the most hilarious thing on the show, and I won't hear otherwise. As if Shane can do knee strikes without having a heart attack and sweat from a lake pour. He is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai boxer. He does actually train and all that.
When he was sitting on the ground holding his knee, if you saw the vascularity on his arm and how big his arm, and when he's walking down the hall with the ice knee and how muscular his legs are, I wouldn't mess with Shane McMahon. I'd run away from him until he got too tired to chase me, but I wouldn't.
He would be dehydrated before he caught me.
Yeah. No, I again, we all know that Shane is a big underground fighting fan. He likes to have his underground fights in the back of the stadium while WWE's in a pandemic, and have a whole bunch of sexy dancing girls that he picked up at the strip club downtown dance in the corner while he shoots smoke machines all over the place. We know that he's training to be in Bloodsport 2 in the Jean-Claude Van Damme role, but at the same time, Shane being back there Muay Thai fighting and then legit getting injured. Again, it's not making him look good. So the whole thing is silly.
It's crap.
And I don't know what they can do to save it at this point.
I have to admit, it was about this point in the show that I was struggling. I was struggling really hard.
Well, luckily,
and I actually thought that we were going to have a much more difficult conversation tonight than we are going to end up having. Because it was rough. The first half of this show was really, really rough, but I'm happy to say that from here on out things really picked up.
And that's what I was going to say. Good. Luckily, if you were struggling at this point, the next match is where things started to kind of get back on the rails. Seth Rollins and Shinsuke Nakamura have not had anything for a feud. Shinsuke's thrown some looks at Seth. He came out and got in Seth's face last week on this last Friday, 2 days ago. He got in Seth's face, told him to shut up and beat him up a little bit in the ring. Seth was mad. He knows Shinsuke is a former tag team partner with Cesaro. So he challenged Shinsuke to a match, and we got this match. Just no heat behind this whatsoever. We don't even have Cesaro saying, go get him, Nakamura. We don't have Nakamura saying Cesaro wanted me to avenge him. We just had Nakamura backstage goofing around with Riddle and running away when Riddle was making some dumb business ideas. And so we got this match. This match could main event WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
If both these guys are built properly. The talent of these two guys could main event a major, but again, WWE has pushed these guys so far down the card in terms of fan interest for them that here we are. They're having a match in the middle of the show that has no heat for it whatsoever. And still they're able to put on a pretty damn good match. This was actually a pretty damn good match from a technical, on paper, It was a good match.
Very by the numbers, but yeah, it was.
Yes, exactly. They never got out of third gear.
These two in a ring are not going to have a bad match.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Some great reversals, some great, it felt like both these guys got their shine in this match. Nakamura didn't look like he was outmatched by Seth. They just looked like at a certain point, Seth got the right move at the right time, stomped Nakamura, and that was it. So no problem with this. There was no problem with this match other than there was no heat for it whatsoever.
Yeah.
They'd done no build. There was really little reason for it to exist. And the whole match, Seth was struggling to try and tell the story by having to scream out the entire time, "Respect me, Nakamura. Cesaro, do you respect me now? I'm beating up your friend." Seth's working his ass off trying to sell this match. In the middle of the match.
Swing him at one point, just all kinds of good stuff.
He's trying to sell a Cesaro feud in the middle of a match that has no build.
Yeah.
So Seth's working overtime here, trying to make this work. And that's
is
really
this
the
all
only
to build towards
nitpick.
Seth and Cesaro blowing off at WrestleMania, you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And Nakamura was the road bump in Fastlane. Unfortunately. I wonder where
block
Nakamura...
at the Fastlane to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy great balls of fire. But that's the thing, is that's how I'm worried about Nakamura now. Okay, Seth beat him. Now what? He's face again. He looks great. What now? Seth and Cesaro are going to get back on their track, and that was that. This was a throwaway match, and that's really the only pity about it.
Yeah.
There was not a throwaway match afterwards, though, because then, Nick, then that little car graphic made sense for this pay-per-view, because we got Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre.
We shifted up a gear.
No holds barred, Hogan. No holds barred.
You don't even know.
You don't even know where I'll be. You don't know. Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, no holds barred. Based on their matches on Raw the last 2 weeks, we had a feeling this was going to be hard-hitting. Both those matches, they came out with huge welts all over their bodies. And this one was no holds barred on a pay-per-view. Nick, this was one of the hardest hitting matches in WWE I've seen in a long, long time.
Drew finally came out in the Braveheart face paint.
He came out in the Braveheart. Yes, and Samoa Joe even calling it the woad of his people. Yes! Oh! Joe with the reference. Nice. Drew comes out looking like $1,000,000. Sheamus comes out looking like a beast. Two big, beefy, jacked dudes, alpha males, getting in the ring, and just the very first thing that happens is just Drew punches Sheamus in the face, closed fist, no pull, just cracks him right in the jaw. Doesn't even turn the wrist, just boom, straight jab, and they're off. And people watch hardcore wrestling. I was actually texting with a buddy of mine who was watching the pay-per-view at the same time. He mostly watches CZW and like Freedoms and the really hardcore stuff.
Yeah.
Like the gnarly, like razor blade beds and hooks and stuff like that stuff.
Yes.
And he was like the sounds of the fists hitting each other, like the big clubbing blows that they were landing on each other, was sickening.
Yeah, the thuds that you get on the beats of the Bowery and axe handles on the back and
yes,
oof.
Just average hits. They're beating. They end up going through the stadium up into the Thunderdome area where the monitors are, and the sounds of the clubbing blows they're landing on each other is just, They could sample that for Esme in the chat was calling it. She hasn't seen meat beaten that hard since Rocky.
Oof.
You could have used the sound effects from this in the next Rocky movie when he's beating up the steaks in the cooler.
Hey, boy,
disgusting.
I was just hitting the meat.
Just hit the meatball. After this, Rock, you're gonna eat thunder and shit lightning. And that was this match, shat lightning, because at one point Drew even threw Sheamus through the monitors up in the Thunderdome, sparks flying everywhere, more sparks than an exploding barbed wire death match in AEW. Drags him back to the ring on a carrying case. Ends up eating Sheamus gets back up and gives him a code red through the announce table, takes a piece of the announce table back into the ring, and then it's just a matter of going to eat the move onto the piece of table first. And then ended up being Sheamus eating a Future Shock DDT, and shortly afterwards, a very snug Claymore which they were nice enough to show a replay of. And that was it. Drew wins, unsurprisingly, to close out what I'm going to call a classic trilogy between these guys. If I had one, I mean,
more.
No, I don't think you need more. That's it. Boom. Beautiful. Nice blow-off match. I don't think they need any more of this. Drew's got to pivot towards Lashley. But I'll say this, Nick. The one and only nitpick I have about this feud between them, aside from the fact that they were forced to shoehorn it in, between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, just stick it like, hey, we got to get this in now, right? And it felt like the two of them wanted to do this feud really badly. They were already saying on Twitter after this match, there was your WrestleMania main event.
Yeah.
Like, they felt really strongly about this match. They wanted to make it really good. The one nitpick I had was the no contest finish in the second one. Drew wins the first, no contest in the second match. This one, Drew wins straight up. I feel like I just wanted Sheamus to get that one win.
Yeah.
And then it would have been an all-time classic. It just felt like that no contest was unnecessary. I would have liked Sheamus to feel like more of a threat to Drew. I kind of almost wanted Drew's ability to challenge at WrestleMania should have been on the line in this match to make it feel more like Sheamus is like, I'm going to screw you because I feel like you screwed me.
Yeah.
Like that's the one little detail I think that they missed on is make Sheamus feel like more of a threat. Stakes. How about that? As opposed to just like, I'm really excited to see these two guys beat the crap out of each other. How about make me care in storyline as well?
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you there. Kyle throwing 100 bits said, so why wasn't this at Mania? Like, these guys went out on a mission to send a message over not getting what they probably thought was going to be a world title match Mania for months, given the work they did. One thing that could make this more painful British strong style is adding Walter.
Oh, yes. There were some chops in this that I'm sure somewhere Walter's ears pricked up and went, Was? Somewhere someone slapped someone. Walter knows.
Thank you, Kyle. Listen, at the end of the day,
why wasn't it in WrestleMania? Because Sheamus is on the
because
backswing
that's
of his
not
career,
the title feud.
and Lashley feels like a bigger deal than Sheamus does right now.
Agreed.
Frankly.
And it begs the question: is Drew the right person to send up for Lashley? If they had this going on, could they have run this to Mania? Could you have had someone else challenge Lashley? And
I see what
had
you're saying.
the best of both worlds, frankly.
Not with how they're positioning Drew as one of the two faces of their company. Roman is the big heel. Drew is the big face. Rock and Stone Cold, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
The two big faces of their company. Drew is one of them. And they want Drew to win a championship in front of 45,000 people and finally get that coronation. And he's gonna. I see no other logic behind how they've been building Drew and all the rest. Setting up Lashley as an absolute monstrous world ender. Sheamus doesn't feel like that big of a deal, and this feels too personal for people to celebrate afterwards.
Yeah.
This was, after this match, you weren't like, yay, Drew won. You were exhausted. You were like, these poor guys beating up each other, former friends, etc. You didn't feel like Sheamus was a dastardly heel. You felt like he was, a spiteful ex.
I did see I think it was on Twitter or Instagram, one of the two. Sheamus put up a picture of his back on social media, just red marks and welts everywhere. But I mean, he's got that beautiful alabaster Irish skin, so yeah, it's gonna you could look at it funny and it's gonna have red welts on it.
Every one of their matches, they put up back pictures afterwards because their backs were just meat, just chopped liver. So insane. But curious what Sheamus does now. Quick little question. What do you think about him going after Riddle?
Not mad at it.
Riddle Sheamus little feud going on there.
Not mad at it.
We've already kind of seen it, but run it back. What else does Sheamus do at Mania?
What else is Riddle doing? Now Ali's cast aside at this point.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Who's the next challenger for the United States Championship?
Bingo.
We got 3 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah. You know who it probably won't be?
Randy Orton.
Yeah. Ain't gonna be Randy Orton.
Nope.
You know why? Because Randy Orton has his hands full.
He done got himself into some shit.
Yeah, Randy Orton's got the voodoo on him. He's still coughing up black stuff, which he was doing right before his match with Alexa Bliss. He got in the ring and started coughing up black stuff, asked for a damn towel wiped it off, and he was ready to go against the 5-foot-tall, satanic-looking Alexa Bliss. They did her, what do you call it, nude lipstick tonight, so she looked particularly undead, and they really did her eyes up. So she looked absolutely satanic. She gets in the ring, and it looks like we're actually going to have an actual match between these two. But then Alexa Bliss motions, and the lights turn purple, and she starts throwing fireballs at Randy Orton.
Hadouken!
Yeah. She first she does like a yoga flame, and like a huge like kind of horizontal fireball. And then there's like, all these are done in jump cuts. And then she does like, just a straight up, like you said, a Hadouken. We have an actual fireball flat Randy Orton. He dodges or it misses or something. She gets him to accidentally run into a ring post. He chases her outside. She makes a lighting rig fall from the ceiling and almost kill him. And then hops back in the ring. He tentatively gets back in after her. All this going very slowly and very awkwardly because there's no live crowd. So this is all kind of just odd and weird, but at the same time cool, but at the same time dumb, but at the same time cool. And it's very confusing to me, Nick.
I enjoyed it.
But he gets back in the ring, and by God, Alexa Bliss summons the Fiend front of the ring. We all know that in kayfabe, in storyline canon, the gate to hell exists under the WWE ring. If you've watched for any amount of time, you know this is as true as the fact that you never headbutt a Samoan.
Right.
And by God, the ring splits open under Randy Orton's feet, and out comes a gnarled, burned, disgusting hand, grabs him by the leg. Randy jumps away, and out from under the ring crawls a burned, maimed, hideous-looking, smoking Fiend. Flame gouts front of the ring. He comes crawling up from the depths of hell, Maggle. Out he crawls. Alexa Bliss runs up. Randy turns around too late. She scares him. The Fiend grabs him. Sister Abigail, Alexa pounces on him. The ref, who's been outside the ring going, oh, hell no, this entire time, gingerly jumps back in to go, 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here. And he gets back the hell back out of the ring. And the Fiend and Alexa Bliss pose on top of Randy Orton's knocked out corpse for an uncomfortably long time for some reason, Kevin Dunn. Way, way too long, by the way. The mystique was gone. And that's it. The Fiend is back. And I'm going to start calling him Fiendy Kruger because he just looks like he's boiled soup. He looks terrible in a good way.
Dark man. Come out with the mummy bandages around his face.
Yes, right. I am not an animal.
This summer, Liam Neeson is the Fiend.
Yeah, that'd be great. The Fiend comes out. I have a certain set of skills.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the return of the Fiend?
It's everything I hoped it would be.
Really?
But somehow, I'm not sure if it was the way that the match went down. So I wanted him to come back looking all burned. I wanted him to come back in a sort of ruined outfit, looking like basically he was burnt to a crisp back in December, and in the Inferno match. That's how I wanted him to look. It was still a bit awkward and weird. I can't put my hand. I need to go back and watch it again and how it all went down and really analyze it. There's something off. And I don't know if it's Alexa Bliss being in there or the fact that instead of just beating him down, they just hovered over him and why
not have him disappear again? Laugh over him and then and the lights come back up to normal and Randy's just lying there dead.
There's something off, and I can't put my finger on it yet.
There are some things the production was really good at. Some things they were not typical. You're right, where sometimes things look good and sometimes they don't. It's wrestling. They're trying to do it on the fly. They're not experts at doing this kind of stuff. But at the same time, if we're talking about this, it has to be said. This is either your cup of tea and you're going to go along with it, or it's not and you're not. And you know what? I'm going to tell y'all right now, you're both right.
Yeah.
If anyone comes along and says, this is terrible, this is not my wrestling, this is not what I want in my wrestling, you're right.
You probably really enjoy AEW.
Or you probably really enjoy Ring of Honor.
Sure.
Or New Japan. Although New Japan's had some questionable booking decisions very recently. We'll talk about that on our Tuesday show. But then the other side of things, there's the people that probably loved Lucha Underground, and they loved Chikara, and they loved DDT, and some stuff in AEW, and they probably or like us, Nick, where we're like, okay, take us on a ride.
Yes.
You can go crazy, and we'll go there as long as it doesn't get too dumb, like the swamp match you referenced earlier.
Yeah.
And there's definitely times where it's gone too far, and there's times in this segment where I was sitting there kind of like chuckling and rolling my eyes and going, oh God. Wrestling. But that's the thing, is like part of it was I was sitting there, laughing and chuckling to myself and going, oh, wrestling. Oh, you can be so silly. And I can still be invested because it's just dumb Saturday morning cartoon fun, albeit very dark and kind of creepy, and having a burned guy who came back from being burned alive while another person's coughing up black blood and a little girl is sitting inside of a pentagram. But still, everyone's right about this. If you liked it, you're right. If you hated it, you're right. It's fine. It's just, it is what it is. Like it or don't, there's other things on the card. This show started off like, as we said, not very good.
No.
And then halfway through, you got Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura showing us a very down the middle professional wrestling match. Professional wrestling match. Then you got Sheamus versus Drew absolutely murdering each other for our entertainment. Then you got this wild-ass Goonie shit going completely off the rails into La La Land. And then we come back for the main event, Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan.
Which was probably some of the best psychology in wrestling all night.
It's already in my books for one of the best matches of 2021.
Damn.
This match was absolutely magnificent.
Damn.
Magnificent. And as you said, between the stakes, between the psychology, the storytelling, this was WWE wrestling at its zenith. When we talk about the style of WWE wrestling, this is as good as it gets in that style, unless they go completely against the grain and do like a much more technical match or what. This is like, if storytelling is the primary concern and two guys go out there and try to tell the story of a match. In this case, it being Daniel Bryan is the technical genius. Roman Reigns is the powerhouse. Who's going to win? And at the end of the day, all kinds of things get thrown into the mix. You have Edge ringside, who doesn't really like either of these guys, doesn't really care who he faces at WrestleMania, but is just there to kind of observe.
Well, hang on. Before you get too far into this, I wanted to tee you up. I wanted to lob a softball up for you to hit out of the park.
Okay.
Back in 2017, you cut a pretty hot promo on Roman Reigns, first year of the show, and I remember clipping that and putting that out there. But then we also, our very first patron bonus episode, I believe it was in August, we did the State of the Roman.
Right.
And we said some pretty harsh stuff. And over the course of the next year or two, that we continued to say some pretty harsh stuff.
Harsh truths.
Sure. However, are you, looking back, knowing what we've come from, where are you at on Roman Reigns right now? Like, is this a ceiling for him? Does he have more?
He's one of the three best things in WWE. That's all, folks. He's one of the three best things in WWE right now. He may be one of the greatest things in WWE the last 20 years in terms of where he could possibly stand as the face of the company, as one of the biggest, as one of the, what he's doing in terms of his character work, his in-ring work, how that's all meshing, his presence, his presentation. All of that is absolutely off the damn charts. It's rare I've seen somebody come out and be as captivating, as riveting, as getting across everything that they need to sell about their character in less than a second.
Yeah.
Like Roman Reigns right now. He is white hot. He's everything that Vince was trying to make him be years ago. And one of the things that we said in those promos, Nick, you and I both, one of the things we said is, Vince, get the hell out of his way. Stop making him into something he isn't, and just let him be himself. And Paul Heyman has kind of stepped in and said, okay, Roman, here's what your strengths are. Here's what we're going to do. Here's all the little nuances, all the little ticks you're going to have. They created this this new Roman Reigns that completely plays to all his strengths, not just trying to shoehorn him into this weird shape of what Vince thinks he should be. Vince can now go play with Drew because Drew can do all those things that Vince wants him to.
Yeah.
Drew is what Vince wanted Roman to be 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Drew is that.
Drew is
So
your new
Vince
Cena.
Yes, exactly. Only in some ways better. At least from my perspective. They both have their strengths in different areas.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that he took the onus off of the Roman Reigns character and off of Roman Reigns as a performer to be the vision that Vince has for his main face of the company face.
Yeah.
And now Roman is doing what he as a performer and he as a person is frankly made to do. And you can tell by just how goddamn good he is at it and how much it's clicking. Because he was always really good. And we even said that. He's always been really good. It wasn't clicking. It wasn't because Vince was trying to force certain things.
There you go. An update to the state of the Roman.
And frankly, but now, we're running back this match that we had, I believe it was 2015, 14, before WrestleMania 30. At Fastlane that year, we had Roman and Daniel Bryan for who's going to go on to WrestleMania as a way to appease the fans and say Roman has to go through Daniel Bryan. If he does, then he gets Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and all y'all shut up. Right? And it was an appeasement of the fans. And here we are again. Now Daniel Bryan is saying, no. You can't go to WrestleMania without going through me first. But there's a little more edge to Daniel Bryan. Pardon the pun. He's a little more bitter. He's a little more jaded. This is my last time I might be able to do this. I'm doing this for me. I'm taking my own opportunity. And frankly, Roman, I'm going to tap you out. Daniel Bryan's talking some big words. He's saying, I can tap out Roman Reigns. Roman's saying, no, you can't. I've never tapped out in my life. I'd rather die in the ring. And Daniel Bryan's saying, you've obviously never been in the ring with an elite grappler, enough elite grapplers. Big words coming from Daniel Bryan. I love the build to this match. And that's how they sold the match, is Daniel Bryan being in there. He's being cocky. He knows he can outwork Roman Reigns. All he has to do is just stay away from Roman Reigns' power. And sometimes he could, and sometimes he couldn't. And that's where the excitement of this match came in. And it went back and forth the entire match. Until finally, after a very, very exciting 3/4 of the match, there's a ref bump. And then we have the overbooked ending. And Nick, typically I think that we don't like overbooked endings. What did you think, before I describe it, what did you think of this overbooked ending?
I saw it had to happen.
Sure.
You knew it was coming when Edge was going to be either ringside, or you knew something was going to happen. It was inevitable. Something was inevitably going to happen towards the end of this match that would somehow get Edge involved, that would somehow give him sort of a what did I call it the other day? The crisis of conscience, where he had to choose who he was going to hit to DQ. It didn't ultimately work out that way, but it did not work out that way. Also,
and I like the way that they did this with the ref taking a bump, Edge going, well, I guess I'm the ref now, and coming in and trying to call it straight down the middle. But then Daniel Bryan gets Roman in a yes lock, and Roman can't get out of it. Edge is trying to officiate, and Jay comes in, super kicks him, starts hitting everyone with a chair except for Roman. And then ultimately Daniel Bryan is able to turn the tables, kick him out of the ring, ends up missing Roman and hitting Edge with the chair, and then gets Roman in a yes lock again. Roman faintly taps out. He gives a little tap out. Edge doesn't see it because he's so mad at Daniel Bryan. He hits Daniel Bryan with the chair. Edge gets, let's see, then I'm trying to remember if Edge got knocked out of the ring or not. It all got so convoluted around the end. Let's see. Yeah, Bryan hits Edge. Bryan countered the spear into the yes lock. Again, it's beautiful every time. Roman taps out. Edge hits Bryan with the chair, hits Roman Reigns with the chair, and then Edge he storms off out of the ring all pouty.
This is mine. My time.
This is mine. This is for me, which was very interesting. And then the ref gets thrown back into the ring, and Daniel Bryan eats a spear. 1, 2, 3. He's out. But obviously a ending that Daniel Bryan can now come back and say, again, I didn't really lose to Roman. Last time I got screwed out of it, I got screwed out of it again, this time by Edge, the guy who's taken my place at WrestleMania. So now the door is still open for Daniel to possibly in a triple threat at Mania, which is what, Nick, I think at this point I want. I'm 100%. I want that. I want that triple threat. I don't want Roman and Edge. I want Roman, Bryan, and Edge. That's way more compelling to me now.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want. Spit everywhere. That's way more compelling now. And especially with Edge showing a little bit of heelish, edgy tendencies. He's being a little edgy. We're getting back to that rated R superstar. He's an opportunist. He wants what he wants.
I understand I think the beauty of what Edge is portraying right now is that we can all understand. We may have all been in a situation where someone else snuck in when we were teed up to have an opportunity, and yet here comes this little weasel that's sneaking in and, also vying for that opportunity. Be like, hey, what? I won the thing back there. Like, what? Who are you? What? I understand Edge's frustration.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I got the thing. Just go, just shoo. And he won't go. It's a mosquito buzzing in your ear.
He's just sitting there like chewing his candy bar. Like, what?
Yeah.
Thought I could be here. What?
I want that thing too.
Yeah. Wait, hey, what the hell?
My whole take on this is absolutely brilliant match. I'm not even. I knew it was inevitable that it was going to end in some sort of shenaniganry at the end. I'm not even been out of shape about it. In fact, I'm over the moon about it. I think the way that Edge handled it was brilliant. I actually thought he was going to rip the ref's shirt on and put it on to sort of take over refereeing, that old trope that we've seen time and time again.
Well, he doesn't need to, because technically he's the special enforcer. He doesn't need a ref shirt to be a referee. That's just part of the rules. As special enforcer, you can step in as the referee as need be.
Sure, I'm just talking about appearances, right?
I'm talking kayfabe.
Sure.
But
I love him coming in and regulating. I also love that on Friday we may get Daniel Bryan opening the show showing a slow-mo replay of Roman Reigns tapping out in order to set things
What's
in
that,
motion.
Buddy? What's that, buddy?
You've never tapped out to anybody before? Now you have.
And that's something that Cena's never done either. I mean, that's pretty monumental. Like it didn't. I mean, obviously it didn't win him the match.
He's like, no, so there was a gnat in my face. That's all I was doing.
It won't be in the record books, and it was faint enough that Roman could probably play it off, right? So no, I love the convoluted ending of this match. Typically overbooking can get like a little eye rolling, and in the middle of it I was sitting there going, oh God, don't screw it up. It's a tightrope walk. I think they pulled it off. I thought the show ended very excitingly with all of this. Lots of possibilities left open for them. It wasn't straight up Roman Reigns spear to Daniel Bryan 1 2 3. Bryan's out of the title picture. He's going to go have a nice consolation match with Jey Uso at WrestleMania. No, they left themselves wide open for some very exciting possibilities here. And this match kicked 7 sorts of ass. The storytelling was great. The wrestling was great. So many back and forths. So many times I legitimately was on the edge of my seat, having no idea if Roman was going to give that one spear to Daniel Bryan, or if Daniel Bryan was going to get out of it somehow, or how it was going to end. It was fantastic. It was WWE wrestling at its finest. And it's, again, you love or you hate WWE. If you love it, this is the sort of thing that keeps you around for it.
Yeah.
Is this kind of match. And this kind of storytelling.
Yeah, the drama was fantastic. I love it.
It's too bad they can't do this up and down the card, but at least it's somewhere, and at least it closed out the show. So, yeah.
Well, we had some kerfuffery going on throughout the show. The pre-show weirdness going on. We had Elias instead of Shane McMahon. How did we end up doing in the pick'ems?
It was actually pretty even. We both got a lot right here, Nick. It was a wash with Elias and Braun Strowman, because obviously that wasn't the match that was advertised. And then I think the only difference maker was Matt Riddle and Mustafa Ali, which had you known it was on the pre-show, you probably would have picked differently. But so I beat you by 1, 7-6, but still a very close one. Lots of predictability, but at the same time, a lot of that was us picking what we hoped would happen on the road to WrestleMania to get the best storylines, or at least to get the best outcomes. So for the most part, I'd say it delivered what we expected.
Yeah.
At this time of year, which can be very up and down in terms of predictability. Do we have to do any catching up, or should we wrap up the show and talk about our overall thoughts?
Yeah, Kyle threw in 100 bits and said, regarding Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton, he says, I'm just happy the Fiend is back, because it most likely means no more unexplained Alexa Powers stuff, and that can go to the Fiend, where there is at least an explanation why he can do all those things. Just please, for the love of God, keep Alexa and Rhea separate until Alexa is done with the Fiend. Seeing way too many people wish that because of Rhea's nickname.
Yes, and that's really the scary thing is I think that there are some people who think that the way that Rhea's being sold indicates she'll be heading towards Alexa, and I don't see that at all. No. I think that Rhea's going to come in as, like I don't know if she's going to come in as a face or a heel. That's the interesting thing, is that they're making her look like a monster, and I'm wondering if they bring her in as a monster heel to face Charlotte, who's still off the WrestleMania posters, Kyle, which you pointed out the other day, and it's still there, so that's interesting. It continues to be the case.
He also threw in another 100 bits and a little bit of breaking news. Andrade has been granted his release by WWE.
Ah, breaking news.
Huh.
Interesting.
Huh.
He finessed that, did he?
Well, all right then. Where's Andrade? I don't want to get sidetracked with a conversation about Andrade. Let's wrap up the show. Well, where does Charlotte go is the bigger question.
Well, no, that's the question is because, is Charlotte somehow wrapped up in that? How did he get his release granted? Why is Charlotte, if it is a thing, why is Charlotte off the WrestleMania posters? We'll find out tomorrow. If Charlotte's once again not on Raw, then we really have to start asking questions. At this point, it's just kind of on the poster.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend just, quit WWE, which, as you know, nobody quits WWE, pal. That's not good shit.
No. Overall thoughts on Fastlane and being 3 weeks out of WrestleMania. Here we are again. We were in a very precarious position this time last year, day 0, day 1 going into the pandemic era.
Right.
We're still about that 1 year anniversary mark and going into, holy shit, are we still going to have wrestling? Holy shit, are we still going to, is there even going to be a WrestleMania? I remember we had Elimination Chamber last year, and then there was nothing really until WrestleMania. I'm looking at this. We're 3 weeks out of WrestleMania. They're expecting to have roughly 45,000 fans live in attendance at Raymond James Stadium for each night of WrestleMania on the 10th and 11th. Where are you at in your head as far as the build to Mania, the potential match card of what we can kind of see, what's coming up already? We're on the precipice, and I kind of wanted to take some time here at the end to just, where are we at with WrestleMania before we get into next week's shows and bookings and stuff like that?
I have to say, you right now they've got one night of WrestleMania booked, and they need to book 2. And that's, we know that they kind of leave a lot of this to the last minute, which is unfortunate, but they're doing a bit of a better job this year of giving us an idea of what feuds we're going to see. And I still feel like there's about half of it that they're going to have to throw together within the last 3 weeks. That's just, it's too bad because they're not going to feel like WrestleMania worthy feuds. And, you had 3 months in quote unquote the road to WrestleMania to build 2 nights worth of matches. And right now, you've got 1 night's, as I said, worth of matches, and half of those were built in the last week. Whether it's Seth Rollins versus Cesaro, or possibly Natalya and Tamina versus Shayna and Nia. We still don't know what Sheamus is going to do. We still don't know what Matt Riddle's going to do for WrestleMania. We still don't know. I mean, Big E and Apollo is probably Big E and Apollo probably a lock. That's a good story. That's a WrestleMania story. That's going to be good. Drew and Lashley, they've kind of stumbled a little bit on, but it's going to be a great WrestleMania match. It's going to feel like a WrestleMania match. It's going to be fine.
I feel like that could be your main event of night 1 if you're going to have Roman Edge night 2.
When I say that they have 1 night built, I mean they have 1 night's worth of matches built.
Sure. And I'm thinking about, like, what do you schedule where?
Well, this is the interesting thing is, I feel like both Drew and Lashley and Roman Reigns and Edge and or Daniel Bryan, those are both night-ending matches.
Yeah. I think those are your 2 main events.
And that's the thing is, what should be one of them? Sasha versus Bianca. But they've bungled that build so badly,
Completely.
it doesn't...
It's nowhere near the caliber of match that those other 2 matches are, and that has nothing to do with either of their sexes.
And at this point, that match is going to be lucky to be hot enough to open a show, let alone close it.
They proved that tonight.
Right. And that's a scary thing.
Yep.
Randy and the Fiend probably going to have some sort of match. Who knows if it'll actually be a straight up in the ring match? I hope not. Or a cinematic match? I hope so. But with the crowds back, they might want to do the whole show, in front of the 45,000 people they're going to have each night. But after, the question was, did this show, Fastlane, did this make us feel like, okay, now we're on the road to WrestleMania, we're set? Does it feel like Mania season now? Because if they got 3 weeks left, so it better feel like it now.
Kyle threw in 100 bits and said that very thing. He said after Roman and Bryan, it finally feels like Mania season, in my opinion. First time on this entire road. I agree with that to an extent. I feel like there's been a pretty since Royal Rumble. Like, we were hot going into Royal Rumble. We had up and comers. We had, I remember coming out of Royal Rumble, I was like, yes, let's go. Push the accelerator, let's go. All the right people were in all the right places, and the pieces were shifting around. And kind of has just puttered on. For some reason, a lot of the women's division has orbited around Shayna and Nia and the tag team championships. And so, that's just been weird this entire time.
It felt really good, and then we flooded the chamber, and it kind of stalled out for about a month and a half.
I see what you did there.
Hey now, buddy. And unfortunately, they're just now kind of starting to sputter back to life here.
Well, we got 3 weeks. We know that's enough time for them to do some stuff. I guess what I'm looking for in not just this show, are you ready for WrestleMania?
I'm ready for some of it. And the problem is there's not enough of it ready for me to truly be like, it's WrestleMania. There's some matches that I'm excited for. There's some matches I need to see more of what they're doing to get there. But there's nothing so set in stone that I'm like, this WrestleMania this year is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But WWE's had a pretty good record this year of getting to the week before a pay-per-view, even the day before a pay-per-view, even during the pay-per-view, and I'm not excited about it. And somehow they pull off a good show. Last year's WrestleMania is another great example of a WrestleMania I thought was going to absolutely bomb, and it was fantastic. I thought Fastlane was going to bomb, and for the first half of it, I thought I was right, and then they absolutely hit it over the wall with two big badass matches in the second half.
Bottom of the ninth, walk-off home run, in my opinion.
Absolutely. This went from being a B- pay-per-view to a B+ pay-per-view because of two matches. So in some sense, I feel like, can they pull it off for WrestleMania? Yeah, I think they'll pull it off.
Yeah.
They've got enough set up that I think they'll pull it off. It's just unfortunate that they keep doing this to themselves and waiting to the last minute to have anything set up. It makes the storyline suffer. It makes the overall pay-per-view card suffer. It makes it harder to get people excited. I think that their numbers at the end of the day might suffer a bit because they don't have enough people hyped up for it because there's not enough to hype. But, it's WrestleMania season. It's here. We've got what we've got. And I think at the end of the day, we will get a pretty damn good WrestleMania out of everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm ready for WrestleMania.
I'm ready for the fans. I'm ready for 45,000 screaming fans back in a stadium, whether or not it's a super spreader event or not, and it will be. It's gonna happen, whether we like it or not. And you know what? I'm just gonna sit back and be like, cool, audience noise, awesome.
Right. Do we get posters? Do we get lights? Do we get fan interaction? All that stuff is going to be back. Hopefully, we'll see. I haven't seen any numbers on ticket sales yet. I don't think they've shared those.
How much do you think they're going to take Japan's advice and have it tell everyone, scream inside your hearts?
Yes.
No vocalization for WrestleMania. Everyone is set that you can clap, you can stomp your feet, but no making noise.
Yeah, that wouldn't go over at all.
Nope. There's the United States of America. We like being loud here.
We got a lot of people jumping in saying Andrade release confirmed. Kyle beat you to the punch about 13 minutes ago.
Kyle's sitting there in the bat cave. He's got all the feet up right now.
He's jacked in for sure.
But well played, Kyle. Yeah,
yes.
Good stuff, man. Thank you.
That's it, guys. That's Fastlane. I have to say, I was dreading doing this show until we got through the Seth Shinsuke match and saw the rest of the last three matches.
Started picking up,
and it really picked up. And those three matches saved this show entirely.
And even the Fiend stuff was just kind of like, what? Okay, okay, that was something. It was wild.
Well, there we go, guys. WrestleMania is next.
Fastlane.
3
It's next,
weeks,
man. Oh my Lord.
We have shifted
It's
into
coming.
fifth gear, and we are on the fast lane to WrestleMania.
Yes.
Going down the road. Yeah.
The
okay.
roadblock is never mind.
I'm tired.
It's too hard. It's too hard. No, not gonna happen.
Oh, but guys, thank you so much for hanging tonight. Shout out to everybody that chatted with us live during the watch party in the Discord.
Yes.
Thanks for hanging with us. Shout out to everybody right here on Twitch. Thank you guys for showing up here. This will be available as a VOD, so you guys can go back and hear everything we thought about each match throughout the whole thing. But thank you guys for joining us. We do live stream every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and every Friday at right after Smackdown. So usually about 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, covering AEW, NXT, Smackdown there, and we talk about Raw and New Japan on Tuesdays. We also do our patron mailbag, which is our weekly AMA show that we put together, where our patrons can send in questions. We answer them live here right on the air. It can be about wrestling, it can be about comic books, about music. Usually it's a big mix, big melting pot of everything. So
AMA.
Yeah. Make sure you're following us right here on Twitch by pounding the little heart down below. Twitch.tv/bustedwideopen. Thank you guys for all of the bits and subs tonight, as well as patrons. Thank you guys for your patronage over at patreon.com/BWO. It is the best way to support you boys here at Busted Wide Open. But until next time, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Somebody stop the damn match!
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.